Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we read diving into a question that has puzzled Marvel fans ever since we all ugly cried our way through Avengers. Infinity War. Why didn't Doctor Strange just stop Thanos earlier? He had the Time Stone. He could have done a million things, right? Well, it's not that simple. And today we're going to break it all down. So, let's set the scene. On Titan, Doctor Strange uses the Time Stone to look into the future. He peeks in the 14,605 possible outcomes of their conflict with Thanos. And out of all those millions of futures, how many did they win? Just one. One single path to victory. This is the absolute core of the entire argument. He understands time. More importantly, Thanos had the Power Stone, the Space Stone, the Reality Stone, and the Soul Stone by the time he faced Strange on Titan. The Reality Stone alone could probably break a time loop. And even if it couldn't, the Power Stone could likely overpower Strange's magic. Remember how easily Thanos shattered the mirror dimension? Strange's spells weren't foolproof against the might of the Infinity Stones. Trying the time loop would have likely ended with a very quick, very permanent death for Doctor Strange, and then Thanos would just take the Time Stone anyway. Alright, what about another option? Why not just use the Time Stone to go back and warn everyone? Again, sounds good on paper, but it's full of holes. First, this creates paradoxes. Changing the past could lead to unforeseen consequences, potentially creating an even worse future. The writers of Endgame actually explain that going to the past doesn't change your future. It just creates a new branching timeline. So Strange would just be creating a different universe, not saving his own. But let's ignore that for a second and assume he could change his own timeline. Who would even believe him? He'd be a crazy sorcerer talking about a purple alien collecting magical space rocks. He would need to convince world leaders, SHIELD, and all the Avengers, many of whom were scattered or in disagreement after Civil War. The element of surprise was one of the few advantages the heroes had. Warning everyone would just alert Thanos that they knew he was coming, and he could change his strategy. He might go for the stones in a different order, making him even harder to stop. Okay, so what about just getting rid of the Time Stone? Chuck it into a black hole? Destroy it? As we learn from WandaVision and Endgame, the Infinity Stones are fundamental forces of the universe. Destroying them is incredibly difficult and dangerous. When the Avengers destroyed the stones in their timeline, it nearly took out Thanos. And when Wanda destroyed the Mind Stone, it took an immense amount of power. Probably nothing good. This brings us back to those 14 million futures. Strange saw all these possibilities. He saw the outcomes of trying the time loop, of going back in time, of trying to destroy the stone. And in every single one of them, they lost. The only path to victory was the one that played out. It required sacrifice, it required loss, and it required a whole lot of trust. Let's think about the key moments. On Titan, when Thanos is about to kill Tony, Strange gives up the Time Stone. It's horrible, but it was a necessary part of the plan. Why? Because it united the universe against a common enemy. It brought the remaining Avengers together with a singular purpose. It also, crucially, gave them 5 years. For Scott Lang to accidentally discover the quantum realm as a means of time travel, and for Carol Danvers to return to Earth. Without the snap, there's no time heist. Without the time heist, there's no way to get the stones and bring everyone back. Every move was a calculated step on a very narrow path. Strange even had to ensure he was snapped away himself. If he had survived, the other Avengers might have constantly looked to him for answers, for a magical quick fix. But his absence forced them to find their own solution, the quantum realm solution, which was the only one that worked. His final act before turning to dust was to look at Tony and hold up one finger, reminding him, "This is it. This is the one way. It's up to you now." So in the end, Doctor Strange didn't stop Thanos earlier because he couldn't. Any attempt to take a shortcut would have led to failure. He wasn't just being passive. He had to let them lose the battle to ultimately win the war. To know the path, but be unable to explain it to anyone, and to watch his friends suffer, all while holding on to the faith that it would all be worth it in the end. He truly was the master strategist of the Infinity Saga. What do you guys think? Is there another way he could have won? I'd love to read them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.